So do you know what actually happens to your money after you die? Or how money actually transfers from person to person after someone you care about dies? Maybe you're thinking, my will take care of that. Or you might be thinking, I need to get on top of creating a will in the first place. But that's actually only one of a few ways that your money actually moves. And the easiest one, the one that could save you and your family so much time and energy, is something that almost no one talks about. So I want to break down for you today 4 ways that your money actually moves from person to person so that you know how to set yourself and your family up for success and make their lives easier during a really, really difficult time. Okay, so let's start with the slowest way, which is actually your will. So remember, a will is just a legal document that shares your instructions for how you want your assets, think your money, your house distributed, and if you have kids, who you want to take care of them. But that doesn't actually move the money. That happens through probate, and that is a court process where a judge will review the will and determine how your assets should be distributed based on your instructions. According to the American Bar Association, probate can take months and it can get very, very expensive. Filing fees, attorney fees, sometimes this can cost 3 to 5% of your entire estate. And it's all public record, which you may or may not want some of your private matters public. So a will is really important. Pretty much everyone needs one, but it's just instructions. It's not actually the vehicle that's going to move your assets from one person to another. The court's going to do the heavy lifting here, and that's not guaranteed to be fast. Now, what's a little more work, but more secure and can be a good option for some people is a trust. Most people will set up what's called a revocable trust. I'm going to stick to revocable for this video because that's what most people will end up needing if they need a trust at all in the first place. But a trust can be a game changer for your situation, particularly if you have property, if you have a specific way you want your kids or your spouse to receive money, or if you have a specific way or time period in which you want to distribute money to certain people. Think of your trust as a book that you get to write that is a step-by-step how to transfer all the stuff that I owned during my lifetime to people in the exact way that I want. Now, to make this work, you actually have to move your assets into the trust. It's called funding the trust. There's a few key details here you need to understand in order to understand how this actually works. You want to know this because this can reduce a lot of time, energy, stress, and yes, save you money. You have to fund the trust, which can mean things like retitling assets in the name of your trust. So for example, you might need to retitle your house. If you have a mortgage, that can be difficult because you're going to need lender approval. Remember, your mortgager, your lender, they want to protect their financial assets. So they want to make sure that this is legit and they're going to have a process for you and some paperwork to do this. Now, here's a move I really like. You can also name the beneficiary on certain accounts like banks or investment accounts as the trust, and then update the trust to reflect how you want your assets to be distributed. That way, when you die, your money goes into the trust and then your trustee can distribute it accordingly. This is really nice if you want specific structured instructions, like I want to give this person money at a certain time or when they turn 30 or whatever. Obviously, what I'm talking about here can get a little bit complicated. And to make sure that you have a trust that's set up, that is funded, you really might want to find a trusted resource like Trust and Will, which is an online provider of trusts and wills, aptly named, or a lawyer in your state that can help you set this up and make sure your assets are actually in the trust the way they're supposed to be. Now, the third way your money can transfer is kind of built in, and this really applies to people that are in long-term relationships. This is joint ownership with the right of survivorship. So if you co-own something and it's labeled in this way, if you pass away, whoever co-owns it with you would get that money. Most joint bank accounts are set up like this by default, but it's certainly something you want to check. For physical assets, you're going to want to make sure that you and your spouse are both on the title and the deed to make sure that you truly co-own the property. But in short, what all of this means is no probate, no fees, no waiting. This is a setup that is great for married couples, but it is a little bit inflexible depending on your needs. A potential risk here is if both owners die at the same time and there's not an added beneficiary, then your property or assets could end up going through probate anyway. So this is a simple, helpful shortcut if you for sure want your assets to go to your spouse and you co-own stuff together, but it's potentially not a perfect solution based on your needs. Now, the simplest way, and I really want you to do this, I tell my friends and my family about this all the time, I'm such a downer at parties. you need to make sure you have your TOD and your POD named on all your accounts. Who is TOD and POD? TOD, TOD means transfer on death. POD, POD, payable on death. And you can add these designations to any of your bank account and your investment accounts. That way, when you die, that money automatically goes to the beneficiary that you named. And this trumps a will. So if you have someone different named in your will, then you have the beneficiary listed on the account. The TOD or POD is going to trump the will. So you really want to make sure you're aligned if you have multiple ways that you plan on transferring money when you pass. Here's where my family learned the hard way. My stepfather actually did have a trust and he did have a will, but one of the accounts was not on any of those things. And he also didn't have a TOD or a POD on the account. So unfortunately, that one account had to go through probate. There's quite a bit in there and it took months and months. I believe it took like 6 months. If you are relying on this money, you just want to save your family a lot of hassle, you want to make sure you take these steps. So let's get practical and talk about how to get all of this done to make sure you protect your family. And I want to say on a personal note, this is a massive act of love. I know that people don't like talking about death, but this is one of the kindest things you can do for your family to make things easy when you pass away so that they can spend less time hunting down information and more time grieving and loving you. Step 1, you want to get a will or a trust in place. Trust and Will is a great online website. I've included the link in the description. They can help you with both these things. You can also find a local estate planner in your state. Vanguard and Fidelity have templates and tools for these things. You can, if you have a very simple situation, write up your own will and make it a legal document pretty easily. But if you have any kind of complexity involved, it might be worth talking to somebody. Number 2, if you do go the trust route, make sure you fund the trust, meaning that making sure all of your assets are titled and named the way they need to be considered part of the trust. Otherwise, the trust is basically useless. Number 3, check your beneficiaries. This is a no-brainer. Do this week, like right now. If you need to pause this video, block off like 15, 20 minutes. This should not take you a long time. And honestly, banks are probably prompting you for this information anyway, so make sure you fill it out. And then step 4, I would set up a calendar invite once a year to review all this. Have there been any major life changes, divorce, marriage, anything like that? You're going to want to keep these things updated. Additionally, if you are on a journey to organize your financial life, your legacy, your accounts, your will, your final wishes, I have created a workbook called Deathly Yours, and this is in the description of this video that will help you organize everything you need in one super easy to use Google Sheet. So make sure you check that workbook. It is below, the link is below, and this is what I used after my stepdad died to get everything organized for my aunt, and it was so, so helpful. So I created it, I made it a lot more pretty, and now the link is below, so be sure to check that out if you want help getting organized and staying on track. So to recap, here's the big picture. You've got your will, that's your instructions, can be slow and public. A trust is private, it's fast, it potentially avoids the courts, but you need to make sure it's set up correctly and it's actually funded with your stuff inside the trust as it needs to be. 3, joint ownership. This can be super convenient, but a little bit limited depending on your needs. Lastly, POD, TOD, POD. This is transfer on death, payable on death. This is going to be the simplest way for you to transfer money from one person to another after someone passes. You should just be able to log into your bank and search for beneficiaries and it should come right up. I know this stuff isn't super fun to talk about, but as somebody that's executed 2 estates in the last few years of people very, very close to me, I highly recommend you do this. And not only just what I'm talking about here, but get organized. Your passwords, your subscriptions, your financial accounts. I cannot tell you how many people that I've worked with, and including myself, that have had to hunt for information. Losing a loved one is hard enough. One of the kindest things you can do is make it easy for them. Thank you so much for watching this video. Please hit the subscribe button if you thought this was helpful. I love talking about death and money, making it as easy as possible for you. Tell me below in the comments what you already have set up or what you need help with next.